the greatest Muay Thai fighter to ever compete in MMA, and you casuals probably haven't even heard of him. I'm Cage Warriors lightweight champion George Hardwick, and for the next 10 minutes, we're going to be rambling about this man, the one and only Sakadao Petpayatai, over 3 incredible, spectacular MMA KO victories he's scored. This man's a legend, multiple-time Lumpini champion. He holds wins over guys like Sanchai, Singdam, pretty much all the greats of his era. He's probably got a win over them. A long, southpaw, clinch fighter known for his knees. But how did he transition to MMA, and what changes did he make to his style? Let's get into it. So I believe this is his debut. There he is, in the red corner. See how his stance is a little bit lower and a little bit wider. It's much lower and wider than it would be in Muay Thai. Obviously, first thought is to avoid the takedown. Also, it's to keep the distance greater so it's easier to defend. Plus, he's got a long frame. He's going to accentuate it. He's going to start to bring in different things other than just his Muay Cow knee stylus game. He keeps the distance. He's circling towards his opponent's power side in the open stance. Catches him with a cross as he steps in. You would think, why is he circling towards the open side? Why is he circling to his opponent's powerful right hand, right kick? Well, it keeps the distance greater. You're generally taught as a southpaw, circle to your right, get your foot outside. But as you do that, naturally, you get a lot closer. And if he's trying to keep distance away from the shots, it's going to be tricky. He's not really using his right hand as a weapon to land. There, he hits his left kick. Even though his opponent's circling away and he's outside the power arc, what you'll see with really good Muay Thai fighters is he can rotate all the way around. Even if you've circled past his hip, he's going to rotate around and land a really good kick because the hips are that dexterous, especially with someone with a left kick as good as Sakadao. There he hits a left straight and the guy shoots in. They're in over-under. He turns him around and uses this limp leg because the guy reaches his leg and then goes in for a head kick as the guy stands up. So I think at this point, even soccer kicks were legal in one championship. It's earlier in one championship. Soccer kicks were legal, but there was a particularly horrendous one and it probably didn't look best for the sport. Again, he's using that right hand to keep distance, going 1-2 into left high kick. The guy catches it, but when you're that used to Lumpini and Rajamandern champions catching your leg and trying to sweep you, you can bring your leg back so quick. There he's using that right crossface to frame into the elbow and prevent the guy's kind of headlock. He's a bit green, this guy's fighting. He keeps his elbows low when he uses the Thai clinch, prevents some body locking, and he's really good in over-under. A lot of people call Thai clinch just that 2 hands around the neck, but so much of Thai clinch is actually over-under. The head position he's using is brilliant. He's always turning his eyes in towards his opponent. Little knee to the body, but there will have been so much damage. And he's reaching his right hand over. He's not just pushing randomly at the face. A lot of really good Thai fighters, when they reach that hand over and control the face, they're actually grabbing at the opponent's nose. They're controlling them by the nose. And there he's using the classic plum, but his elbows are super low. He's hitting on the break, following up, and using that sense of distance that he's cultivated over decades of Muay Thai to know, okay, he's a little bit further away. I'm going to throw this left as a left hand. Okay, he's a little bit closer. I'm going to throw this left as a left elbow. Celebrating, I think this was his debut. I may have muddled up the orders as I downloaded them, but we'll get into the slow-mo. Sakadao Petpayatai, when I was just doing Muay Thai between the ages of like 12 to 15, I wasn't doing MMA yet, just doing Muay Thai. Favourite fighters were like, obviously Buakaw, but there was obviously Sakadao and Rungravi Sasiprapa. He was another one. But let's look at the slow-mo. The guy steps in. He hits this left straight down the middle, even though the guy, I think he had outside foot position there. There's that turn. Thai's always turning from that over-under, off-balancing their opponent. Beautiful Thai clinch. Everything you want to see in the Thai clinch. Fingers up, elbows down, and that prevents the body lock as well. If you want a really good example of that in an MMA fight, go watch Demetrius Johnson versus Ali Bagautinov. One of the most underrated, best title defenses in MMA history. Demetrius Johnson using probably the most nuanced display of Thai clinch ever in MMA to help defend takedowns as well. Here, he's got a very muscular opponent. He's using this circling into the open side again, helps keep the distance, and it makes the guy overreach so he can land his left straight, his left knee, his left kick. The guy's right hand is more likely to fall short if he's going to throw it loopy. There, the lead hands aren't really there to fire. They're more there to obstruct themselves. The guy rushes in. And this is where we see a difference between a fighter who's in the clinch. Like my first coach was from Thailand at like 250 fights, Kin. He said, in the clinch, you don't want to be strong. You want to be sticky. The bald guy, he's trying to be strong. And he's using a lot of energy and he's going to leave himself open. Sakadao, obviously one of the most experienced clinch fighters of all time. He's trying to be sticky. There, it's a really experienced MMA style clinch there that Sakadao is using. He's getting his underhooks, that double underhook forklift, but he's not committing his elbows all the way through, which could leave him open to Uchimadas. There he hits the knee. and he's using a little bit of a headlock to turn him, using that pressure. You see, well, that's one of the main things about Muay Thai clinch. It's not just two hands on the neck and knee. It is the turning, the constant turning of angle. You know how you turn in boxing, you throw your shots, you step off to the side. It's the same thing in clinch. You throw your knee, you turn off to the side. There we're seeing that same crossface, underhook, crossface, and what's better than a walk-off KO? A walk-off, run back, and throw a bunch more shots. Sakadao trying to leverage into his left straights. When you've got someone really tall, like Prime Anderson Silva, they can hit amazing straight punches from the stand-up against a grounded opponent. There's some really good Anderson Silva stoppages, but obviously he's going where he's more experienced, staying up, boom, up elbow, because the guy was ducking, and as the guy turns away, he's going to fold into the cross elbow, and a nicely timed stoppage there. The main thing there, he used his underhook. It kind of looked a little bit weak, but he framed off with the other hand into the left elbow. That was the main shot, framing off it with the left hand into the left elbow, always framing, delaying the frame, so obviously sometimes framing, allowing the opponent to get comfortable with that hand on the face and then throwing in. On the slow-mos, they don't really bring that elbow in. They just show him mullering in for the finish. But obviously mixing up the angles of the elbows, that's something you don't see as much, even still in MMA, is people mixing the angles of the elbows. You'll see Charles Oliveira throw a reverse elbow, but that up elbow through the middle, it's an absolute necessity if you're an elbow fighter and Muay Sok in Muay Thai, because so much of clinch is the arm fight and bicep ties and over ties. You have to use that up elbow to fit through the middle. That cross elbow, it doesn't just come there nice and easy. You've got to use that up elbow like a Muay Thai to fit through the middle. Here, he's getting his hand raised. Moving on to the next fight, third and final. Again, southpaw stance, nice and long. Another advantage of that long stance is it allows him to retract his leg further back if the guy reaches for his single leg, not really using his right hand as a committed weapon, just using it to keep the distance. And he's a bit primed, ready to throw his left straight or his left kick. The guy he's fighting is using that circling to the left. What you teach someone to do against a southpaw, yeah, circle to your left, circle to your left. And then you can get your foot in that outside position. But against really experienced fighters, sip of a double bag green tea. Nice temperature. It's tricky to do. And Sakadao has that hip dexterity, like a Crow Cop back in the day, where he can kick even though the guy's circling away. And even if the guy's catch, that's something about Muay Thai. Is like a high-level Muay Thai, there's so many sweeps, there's so many kick counters, so many catches, that you get an incredible dexterity and ability to bring the leg back. It's a whole game in and of itself. A lot of the time you see people in MMA throw a kick, they'll get caught, and they're just kind of waiting to see what their opponent does. In Muay Thai, a lot of good clinches, like if I saw Kunsunlek's fight recently on the weekend, he'd throw that right kick with the intention of his opponent catching it, just so he could pull the opponent's head down into a clinch. In the over-under, Sakadao's always getting really good head position. He's leveraging down there, or he's turning his eyes into his opponent's chin. There he's putting the weight on his opponent's left underhook to hang down and stop him from really using it. There he's got his right arm buried into the lat to try and nullify that overhook, and it's going to keep him the frame advantage. If they break, he'll be able to get his right elbow over nice and quick. He's pushing in, using good hip position, a little bit of tip to tip to prevent the knee, but not get so close that, you know, he might get swept or his legs caught. A little bit of waltzing against the fence here. He's digging that underhook high, keeping that overhook nice and tight, not overextending it. There he's using his head position to try and clear. He's getting his right bicep tie in tight. There, the guy ducks on the leg, ducks on the takedown, using a lot of energy, breaks, possibly scared of a knee or an elbow. Nice inside low kick by his opponent there, and he gets back to the hand fight, just touching his hand on top, and leans back over the left kick of Sakadao. Now we're seeing Sakadao on the front foot. As he's going on the front foot, we'll see him step to the right a bit more. As he's trying to close distance, look, he's stepping to the right because that nullifies the distance. As he's stepping backwards, he might step to the left. It's more orthodox, but Oscar De La Hoya versus Bernard Hopkins, what Bernard Hopkins does in that fight, it's a really good example. Steps in with the left elbow, into the left kick, catches under the guy as he throws his right straight, and then he's into that elbow again. Thai clinch, multiple different angles of the elbow. The guy swings and falls short, and kick from really tight. That's something that you can be really well developed in Thai. Those kicks from really tight. There, body kick, left elbow. The guy actually grabs a double collar tie himself, but Sakadao is so strong that his over ties were stronger than the guy's inside ties. Generally, inside ties are the way. Inside ties are stronger. But because Sakadao hung on, put his hand in the right position, almost around the guy's ear, dropped his elbow, dropped his weight, and has that height advantage, he managed to drive the knee in much harder than his opponent could. Off-balanced his knee, beautiful knee into the ribs. There, he's using that left elbow, staying tight. He actually gets his right inside Thai, which helps him knock the guy's head offline and manipulate his weight into the left knee, into the liver, uh, manipulating his weight that way. So it kind of creates a collision rather than just being swinging the knee up. He's moved the guy into it so there's force going from both ways. I'm getting a shooting pain in my knee right now. There's a bit of a bruise in my knee. I don't know if that's a deep bruise from the fight coming out. Who knows? Maybe I've been kneeing the bag too much because I've been watching a lot of Sakadao Pet Thai. Anyway, I have a Patreon. I have no paywall content on there anymore. It's just $1 tip if you like what you see. I don't have time to make separate content and then separate content for people who just paid for it. Plus, if I make it, I want to make it freely available to all my students and anyone who might find it useful. So you can give that a check out. If not, spend it on something actually useful. What can you get for £1? Oreo grenade bars are like 95 pence in Heron. Go get one of them. Big slurp of green tea to finish.